Hey everybody, thank you guys for joining us today. We're super excited to be here to give you an overview of Netchex and some of the things that we have going on. While we give everybody a few minutes to join, I would love to hear in the chat, where is everybody calling in from today? I know Chris, Becky, and I are all calling in from Louisiana. It's been super hot. We've got Trey calling in from Atlanta. Hey, Trey. Elizabeth calling in from Chicago, where I'm sure the weather is much nicer than it has been
Yeah.
down in Louisiana. It's definitely been hot and muggy down here. Lloyd from Dallas. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you with us. Just to kick us off, this is going to be an overview of kind of the NetCheck system, some of the things that we have that are new or exciting that are coming out. Everybody is on mute, but if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box. We want this to be as interactive as possible. You have two superstars with you here today. We have our Director of Sales Engineering, Chris Roig, who is out there talking to businesses day in and day out, helping them with their challenges, seeing what they struggle with. And then one of our solutions consulting leads, Becky Cooper, and she's talking to Netcheck's clients day in and day out. So she knows the system inside and out, and is also knees deep with different businesses across the country. So today we're going to run through the market choice. We're going to talk about some trends that we're seeing in HR. We're going to show you what some of the solutions that Netchex has looks like in action. We're going to talk about why people stay with their current vendors and what can get them to switch. And then, like I said, we're going to save some time for Q&A at the end. So would love to hear what you guys are thinking about in the chat box. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chris.
Awesome. Thanks, Claire. So I really want to start with something that comes up in almost every conversation we have with HR and payroll leaders. And what's interesting, it's not a product question. It's not a pricing question. It's a structural frustration that's really baked into how this entire HCM industry is built. And it really shapes everything else we're going to talk about today. And here's what it is. It's that most payroll providers, they make you choose between great technology or great service. You can have a really powerful platform and support that disappears the moment you sign. Or you can have really responsible, knowledgeable people in customer service and a system that creates as much work as it actually solves. And for most of the companies that are on this call, that's not really a choice. And so what we're doing is helping companies, if I can get this slide to advance, there we go. We're helping companies face that false choice. Because here's the deal, we see this play out all the time. On one side, I've got providers that they have a genuinely solid technology platform. But when something goes wrong with payroll, with a new hire, with a recruiting application, you find yourself in a queue. You're submitting a ticket. You got a bot that maybe escalates to someone, but that someone's just reading from a script. They've never heard of your company. Or on the other side, you've got providers that are known for their service. It's responsive. They've got knowledgeable people, but the system, the technology behind it creates friction. And your team is doing manual work that the platform should be handling for you automatically. And for the companies that we talk to every day with lean teams, multiple locations, different pay structure, complex schedules, you can't afford to give up either one. I need tech and service. And so that's exactly what we're going to show you today, how Netchex is addressing that false choice. So let's talk a little bit about what this trade-off actually can cost companies day to day and get kind of specific about some of that. So what we actually hear in the market, what's top of mind for some of the leaders we're talking to? Number one, basic functionality just isn't enough anymore. Decision makers and leaders aren't just looking to process their payroll, they're looking for tools that actually solve problems. And those tools usually start with the systems they're using. See, too often what we see is companies are using systems that aren't built for how they actually operate. You might have a system that's built for a knowledge-based company, but you've actually got a team of deskless employees out in the field. They're in the restaurant, they're at the auto dealership, they're in the healthcare clinic, working, not sitting at a desk. And when you're using a system that's not built for you, you find yourself stuck doing manual work, jumping between different tools, fixing things behind the scenes. Here's some examples. Your POS doesn't talk to your payroll system. And so you find yourself manually moving data from one to the other. Payroll doesn't connect cleanly to benefits. So we're spending time updating the same information in multiple places. And when that happens, it becomes really hard to get clear, reliable data. Not only is the technology slowing us down, it makes decision making more difficult, slower, and we're making decisions with less confidence because we don't have the data we need. And that really starts to show up in big ways, especially when it comes to things like hiring and retention. Because when processes are clunky and visibility is limited, it impacts the employee's experience and it makes it harder to keep good people, especially as margins get tighter and we're not always able to pay top dollar in our markets. Now, sure, employers can invest in recruiting, but more and more we see companies looking for ways to, to get employees to actually stay with them. And then, on top of all of these challenges, disconnected systems, limited data visibility, hiring and retention, there's the pressure around AI. Leaders in HR know that AI matters. What they're struggling with is learning how to bring AI into their day to day in a way that's practical, cost effective, and actually makes a difference. And look, these challenges aren't separate, they all build on each other. Now, before I get into what Netchex is doing about this, I just want to put some numbers behind what we're talking about because, guys, these aren't just niche one off problems. 81% of business leaders say that poor integration between HR and payroll systems is actively limiting what their team can accomplish. It's not slowing them down at the margins, it's limiting them. It's showing up every single pay period. And on data, the same percentage of HR leaders say that analytics are essential to how they operate, but having data and being able to act on it quickly are two completely different things. Most of the teams we talk to are sitting on information, but they're not able to actually use it to make decision making faster or easier. The retention number, that's a big one too. And it's the one that tends to land the hardest. 63% of exits last year were preventable. Let that sink in for a second. These aren't people who left because of something outside of your control. 63% of exits left for reasons that, with the right visibility, with the right tools, could have been addressed. That's leading to a significant but solvable cost. And on the AI front, nearly half of organizations say they're struggling to bring AI into the systems they already run, and a third of them don't have the expertise to do it without taking on risk. And look, that pressure to keep employees, to bring in AI, it's real. The challenge is the path forward isn't clear.
So that was so well said, Chris. Thank you so much for that. So we just looked at all of the problems, right? Your disconnected tech, limited data visibility, retention pressure, AI adoption anxiety. And the question that we see on every decision maker's mind right now is, okay, so what do we do about it? And here's what we're seeing from the companies who are actually getting it right. Number one, they connect payroll to everything, not just your HRIS, but your benefits carrier, your accounting software, your point of sale systems, your dealership management systems, employee navigator, 401k providers, the whole ecosystem, right? One source of truth, no manual reentry, and no reconciliation chaos. Second, they're demanding reporting that actually means something, not just exporting something into Excel and then spending an entire afternoon building a pivot table. That's a full-time job in itself. So we're looking at custom reporting with AI assistance that surfaces the insights automatically so that your leaders can make decisions with confidence instead of hunting for that data. Who loves a time saver? I know I do. Third, and this one always gets a good reaction because they're using benefits as a competitive advantage without increasing cost. Things like earned wage access, buy now, pay later for employees, rewards and recognition. These are very meaningful perks that employees actually feel, but they don't blow up your budget. And I'm a stickler for a budget personally. And finally, we see them embracing AI in a way that feels natural. And Chris said it best earlier, right? We're not trying to add another tool to your pile. It's AI that's embedded into the workflows that your HR team is already running. So we're reducing friction instead of creating it. And everything you see here on this slide, that's not coming soon. That's Netchex live today.
So let's jump in and we'll kind of show you, hey, this is how Netchex is addressing some of these key challenges that we're seeing in the market. And really, as this starts, it all begins at payroll. Because at the end of the day, payroll has to be right 100% of the time. And if you're trying to pull data from multiple different sources and places to get payroll accurate, there's too much room for error. A 98% correct might be an A plus in college, but in payroll, it's an F because for that person whose check was wrong, we failed. And when that starts to cost us a good employee because it happened more than once, or they've heard about it happening to their friend, that becomes a real business problem that we've got to solve. So it starts by connecting all of your systems into your actual payroll. Looks like I was sitting idle too long. Sometimes that happens. And so what we've done is we've created one screen where you guys can see everything you need from one place. Whether it's a missed punch, an unapproved PTO request, or a new hire form that hasn't been completed timely, a workflow event that needs to be approved before payroll, or a benefits enrollment that a new hire completed, all of that information is brought into one screen where you can easily review the information and take action on it. No longer do I have to bounce between multiple places and look in 3 or 4 places inside the application to find what I need. Now everything sits in one place, making it easy for you to ensure accuracy in your payroll because, like Becky said, everything's connected. Plus, as we go through the payroll process, we make it easy for you to ensure that payroll's accurate through great data review. Now, keep in mind, with this payroll, we've also already brought in data from your dealer management system, from your point of sale system. So that time, those punches, those commissions from your club management software, that's all already here because Netchex is connected with those systems. Then when it's time for review, we make it easy. You're not running reports to Excel and combing through rows and rows of data. We're surfacing the issues you need to see, like a payroll comparison, this payroll to last payroll, show it to me by company at the employee level so I can easily spot anomalies and take action. Plus, we're giving employees the opportunity to preview their checks before payroll as well. You ever get that call on payroll day from somebody who, oh, hey, I don't see my commission, or hey, I don't see my last shift because I forgot to punch out on the point of sale? Instead of catching that on payday, what if we could simply send a notification to our team members and give them the opportunity to preview their check before payroll was finalized? And if you notice something, hey, just drop me a quick note right here in the app. Here's the deal, guys. If you're a multi-location group, your employee, your new hire, they might not even know who runs payroll or who to contact. And so they go to their manager, who has to go to their manager, who has to go to you. Instead, the employee just tells us what's going on here, and you guys get an automatic notification in payroll that says, hey, you've got some feedback. I don't see the raise my manager promised me. Instead of a fire on payroll day, Netchex is keeping everything connected and helping you keep your employees engaged by ensuring that we're paying them accurately every single time. Remember, 63% of exits were for reasons you can control. How many of those could have been related to an employee's paycheck? Now, the other big piece of this is making sure that you guys have great access to the data that you need in the platform. And what we've done is we've built a great reporting tool called Insights that really helps you not only see your data, but actually answer the questions behind your question. For example, I might need a report that tells me what my head count is by location and gender. Well, of course, I could go pull the report in the custom report builder and grab the fields I want. But like Becky said, I don't want to just export it to Excel and then have to spend an afternoon building pivot tables. With Insights, we've actually built a natural language processor that takes the question that you entered and answers it for you. And when I say answers it, I mean a visual display of the answer to your question. Here's your head count by gender and location. You can see I'm kind of heavily centered in the Gulf South. Super simple and easy. That took seconds, not hours or days. I recently had a conversation with a CFO who told me that by the time he gets the data he needs from his HR team, he's already had to make the decision. Think about that. By the time I got the data, the decision already had to be made. With Netchex, that's not the way. We're using data to drive really solid people decisions. Now, of course, for those of you that love Excel and you want it, it's all here, and I've got all the list of all that stuff. Now, you might be looking at this too, and you go, Chris, I don't even know what I want to ask. No problem. We've built the stories that we know you need. In fact, I was talking to another CFO who asked me, Chris, ask it which manager has the most turnover. That's what I really want to know. Who's driving people off? And I was like, hey, I actually don't have to ask it because we already served that up for you. Part of our turnover story gives you the highlights of exactly what's going on. And we've layered in an AI assistant that can help with the data analysis. Don't worry about trying to run a spreadsheet and throw it into Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, whichever one you use. We've already built it in. Because what happens is you feed it a spreadsheet, but then it doesn't have enough. And then it's grabbing some information from somewhere else and putting that in. With Netchex, we're using your data inside of the platform, putting meaningful AI into the workflows that you already do today. Now I've got an analysis of all my data in seconds. And guys, here's the reality. A lot of times, these are your board slides. This is what we're talking about when we're talking to the board because these are the things that they really want to know. Now, on the other side, we're also creating a great employee experience because remember, 63% of exits were controllable. Are we providing the tools that employees really want? Well, maybe. With Netchex, you can. And one of the first things employees want is they want access to their money. Look, the gig economy is for real. You can drive for DoorDash or Uber and get paid at the end of your day. With Netchex, you guys can offer that same exact benefit to your employees where they can actually access part of their earned wages before payday. So imagine I wake up on a Wednesday morning and I step outside and my tire is flat, but payday's not till Friday. And guys, the reality is 77% of America is living paycheck to paycheck. And that flat tire is one more thing that's putting financial stress on your employee. Now, what options do they have? Go to their tapped out credit cards with high interest rates, go to a check cashing place and try and get a high interest loan from one of these predators, call a family member and ask for a loan. Not with you, because you offer earned wage access. And so now, instead of having to call into work and try and find an Uber and getting deeper in the hole, what if, hey, I can advance the money to get my tire repaired? And here's the great part, guys. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have any extra administrative work. The employee can get a same day transfer into their bank account from the money that they've already earned right from the Netchex app with no burden, no expense, and no liability to you. Just an added benefit that employees really appreciate. We're also giving them access to a buy now, pay later program that gives them the opportunity to access some of life's essentials or maybe some of life's nice to haves through payroll deduction. Again, instead of going to these predatory lenders or putting it on a credit card, what if, hey, I need a new laptop or it's Christmas or my kids want a new video game? What if I could just purchase that through a payroll deduction? And here's the beauty, the price they see is the price they pay. There's no interest on these loans. We're not charging them exorbitant fees. And again, there's no liability and no cost to you guys to offer these benefits. And what happens is companies that are offering this benefit are starting to see up to 4 times as many applicants when they include this in their job descriptions. They're seeing employees stay an average of 49% longer and work an average of 17 more hours per month. Who doesn't want that? These are real results that we can really offer by creating a better experience for employees through a great technology solution. You know, the other thing employees really want is they want access to data. They want, not say data, they want access to information. They want the answer to their question and they want it now. Look, the world is a ChatGPT prompt away. If I want to know what the economic conditions in Indonesia are, I can just ask ChatGPT in a few seconds. I can know. But if I get a jury duty notice, I don't know how to find that answer. Sure, I could go log into a self-service somewhere and comb through a 35-page handbook, but nobody's doing that. What if I could just ask, hey, what's our jury duty policy? Do we offer medical benefits? What's the deductible? Here's a real life story. We use Netchex, right? We use our own product. And a few weeks ago, I was driving with my wife, and she said, "Hey, I think Aubrey, my youngest daughter, needs glasses." And she goes, who's our insurance carrier? Is it still this IMED I have on my phone? No, like guys, I've been here 15 years. We've had like four insurance carriers. I have no idea who our insurance carrier is, right? So it's a Saturday. Normally, I'll just be like, I wait till Monday and I'll Zoom chat HR and blah blah blah. But instead, I got really excited. I was like, ooh, ooh. And I hand her my phone. And she logs into Netchex and asks the question and Ask HR. And just like you see on the screen here, Ask HR uses the Netchex company documents to answer my question. My wife got the answer she needed in seconds using only the company documents that are uploaded in Netchex. We're not going to the web. We're not asking anything. We're not just grabbing any information. It's only the information that you guys give us that we're pulling to answer these questions for your employees. And one study by SHRM showed that HR professionals spend up to 40% of their time answering employee questions. 40%. And when I talk to you guys, it's the same questions over and over. It's always the same ones. And so what we've done is we've built an AI powered assistant that sits in the workflows that you're already doing to answer those questions for your employees. Now, look, absolutely, we still need you guys to answer the big questions. Hey, I have this procedure coming up. What does leave look like? And how much is it going to cost me? And what's my best option to utilize our insurance? And how do I get in touch with the STD carrier? But the little questions, hey, how much PTO do I have? How much was my last paycheck? Those can be answered by our virtual assistant. Not only does this free up time for you, it also creates a better experience for your employees because they're not having to go to their manager, go to HR, and wait for an answer. They're getting an answer in just a few seconds. And that's the power of AI in the workflows you're already doing today. One of the other big things that we're seeing inside of our customer base is the desire and the ability to be able to communicate with employees. Whether it's recognizing an employee for a job well done, tying that to a tangible reward that they can cash in at the end of the year, or just keeping up with the ongoing conversations between managers and employees. The Netchex experience creates a one-stop shop for your employees to access everything they need. Got an announcement you want to share? Great, post it in announcements. Let's make sure that everybody knows about the upcoming open enrollment. But we're also creating smaller groups where employees are automatically added into the group for their location and their job, eliminating the need to manage Facebook groups or text groups, putting people in and out, and giving you guys a way to directly communicate to your frontline staff inside of the app. Going to be late today? No problem. Just drop a quick note for your manager to let them know. Need to make sure that the employees in this location know about an upcoming change? Hey, we've got you. All of that's tracked inside of our new workplace conversations. Now, another big place where we're able to make a huge impact for some of our customers, and again, leveraging the power of AI, is in the performance process. Very robust performance process that allows you to track goals and one-on-ones, disciplinary actions, schedule and attendance violations. But what we've done is we've helped go beyond just the traditional kind of check the box, go through the motions performance review. Now, of course, just like you'd expect, all of the reviews are totally customizable and you build the questions and the sections and all the things you'd expect from a performance system worth its salt. But with Netchex, we go one step further. Imagine that your managers could have real-time coaching as they complete a review. For example, this manager has an employee who needed to achieve a 90% customer satisfaction score, and the employee did. And the manager's comment is, hey, Brad had a good customer satisfaction score. And all my HR pros go, thanks a lot, Captain Obvious, for that comment. But what if our AI coach in the flow could give that manager some real-time feedback on their comment that says, hey, actually, we'd like you to say it this way, or maybe you could hit a couple extra points. Our AI coach in the flow actually gives managers real-time feedback on their comment, saying, hey, I think you might be able to do it a little better this way. What we do is run it through a rubric we call COIN that says, hey, did you give me a context, an observation, impact, and a next step? And you can see here, the manager really didn't. And so they'll have the opportunity to improve their comment, and even maybe that led to higher sales, even rephrase it. Who hasn't run email or a LinkedIn post through ChatGPT to clean it up? Now that AI is embedded in your workflows. And one group we talked to said that this actually cut down the time their HR generalists spent on reviews by 30%. 30%, because it cut down the back and forth between managers and employees. And look, as a manager, I love this. I don't want to turn in my review and 2 weeks later get something from HR to sit down and go rehash it and relook at it. I've already moved on from that. Give me real-time coaching in the flow that really makes an impact. And so Netchex is really helping bring AI into the workflows that you're already doing today, creating a great employee experience. And look, there's a ton more learning and recognition and benefits administration. It's all here. But I do want to quickly touch on one other thing that really makes a huge difference for a lot of our customers, and that's going to be the recruiting process. And what we've done is we've brought in AI into your recruiting workflows to help you really ensure that you're hiring the best people as quickly as possible. The way we do it is starting with an Indeed Platinum partnership to post your jobs to not only Indeed, but all the major job boards and get you maximum visibility. Then, as people apply, we're using an AI agent to automatically score your applicants on 3 sets of criteria: your custom questions, their shift availability, and how it matches with your need, and their distance to your location. Now, I do want to quickly say the AI is not making any decisions for you. That's not a bug, that's by design. All we're doing is surfacing the best candidates for you so your managers can quickly recognize the people they need to talk to. In fact, if you'd like, we can even say, hey, anybody that scores X% or higher, automatically text them a link to schedule their interview. We're taking the time to fill an open shift from a matter of days and weeks to, in some cases, a matter of hours. Imagine the first time your manager knows a qualified applicant submitted an application is because they have an interview on their calendar. So, real life story, I have a teenager who has a boyfriend who recently told me about his new job at Target. And I was like, Steven, Target? I was really surprised. He's kind of a work with your hands kind of guy, wants to be an electrician. He said, yeah, well, I applied to this landscaping company and I really wanted to work for them. Get this. But Mr. Chris, by the time they called me, I'd already accepted the job and started training at Target. He wanted to work for the landscaping company, but he took the first job and the first one that offered him. And because they were able to do it quickly, guys, that's your competition. You're competing for talent with groups that move that quickly. You've got to move just as quickly. We can even help with some AI interviews where we can actually send a link to a candidate to complete an interview on their own. Now, again, we're not making any decisions. We're just serving up a bias eliminated summary of how the employee did on their interview. Once you're ready to make the hire, just click the button and we'll send all the onboarding to them automatically, which automatically updates all of their information inside of payroll. And that's the power of having everything connected in one system with great data visibility, great tools to help you engage and retain your top talent, and great tools that help you leverage AI inside of the actual workflows you're doing today. And guys, that's the power of the Netchex application and solution. So I'm going to jump back into our presentation here. I hope that demo was super helpful for you guys and gave you just a little taste of kind of what Netchex can do and how we're helping some of our other customers really increase and become better in their day-to-day workflows.
Thanks so much, Chris. I don't know about y'all, but every time I see Chris demo a product, and I've seen it many times, I'm ready to sign up. I'm ready to open a business and get it going. My only downfall is I don't have my own business. So thanks for that. So I do want to spend a minute, though, on this slide because the numbers here, genuinely wild, guys. And the kicker is they're real. So let's start on the left, right? 16 hours saved per week. That's what happens when everything lives in one integrated system and your team isn't toggling between platforms or re-entering the same data in 3 different places. Payroll that's processed in 15 minutes. That one screen payroll feature that Chris just showed us, it cuts the runtime down dramatically. And most teams save 2 to 4 hours per week just on the mechanic of running payroll. So let that sink in for just a second. Hiring in 1 day, not 3 weeks. Now, onboarding automation handles the paperwork, the setup, the provisioning. So your new hires hit the ground running and your managers They're not stuck babysitting the process, making sure that you have everything you need because you just have it. Audits in minutes, not days, so important. If you're running multiple locations, then you know how brutal an audit prep can be. Your automation turns that from a 3-day project into something that you can knock out before lunch. Now, flip over to the right side for just a second, and this is the service story, because 90% first call resolution, 90% of calls answered in under 1 minute, and a 98% customer satisfaction score. And listen, when you look at people like Miss Joanne Skiba over here, she's an HR manager over at CKJ Management. And she said that when she calls and connects with someone that she's spoken to before, it feels like she's calling an old friend. Now, that's not a marketing line. That's her actual experience. And it can be your experience too. Now let's talk a little bit about Nicole, because she stepped into a new role, Senior Director of HR and Culture at the Sheridan County YMCA over in Wyoming. It's a 130 plus staff members. And listen, from day one, she could see that their payroll system just wasn't cutting it. It was painful. Reporting was clunky, and hiring still on paper in 2024. So she went looking for something better. And when she weighed pricing and practicality, Netchex was honestly her clear choice, and she's not looked back. So here's what changed. Payroll time. She dropped it by 87%. What used to take her 2 full hours now only takes her 15 minutes. It's not an edge case. That's just the platform doing what it should be doing. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Her employees with multiple job roles, it's very super common in a YMCA environment, by the way. They can now clock in and out with a single login. There's no more workarounds for that. Hiring went fully digital with Recruit, and then she saw more applications and easier workflow, less chaos. And the support she got was fast, friendly, and reliable. And that's something she called out specifically. And she summed it up herself when she said that Netchex was a breath of fresh air in all the ways. And that's what we're going for. Not just software that technically works, but rather a partnership that actually delivers what you need.
So before we tell you about next steps, I want to address something because we've done enough of these to know what's going to happen next. You close this window, you go back to your desk, you're excited, but then the reasons why it's easier to stay where you are start talking louder and louder than the reasons why you should change. Now, we'd rather talk about those reasons now because here's the deal. Every single one of them is legit. So I'm going to let Becky take us through some of the reasons why people stay put.
Thanks. So Chris just named all the things that we hear all the time. And listen, honestly, every one of them is a fair concern. We're too busy. Valid. Our current system technically works. Also valid. We've been burned by an implementation before. Very valid and very common. But I want to take a minute to actually walk you through what a Netchex implementation looks like, because it's genuinely different from what most of you have experienced before. Now, the first thing that happens when you sign with us, you get a dedicated onboarding project manager, one person, your person. I don't know if any of you are a Grey's Anatomy fan, but you need your person. So they're going to be your single point of contact from kickoff to go live. They're not a general support queue. They're your person. They're going to bring in payroll, HR, and benefit certified experts as the process requires. Then you also get a real project plan that's customized to your company, your industry, and your unique setup. You'll receive an interactive project manager, step-by-step guidance, weekly check-ins to make sure that things are accurate and on track. And then once we get you configured, your data is imported, your integrations are connected, and payroll is running. Because guys, the goal is that you're not still feeling like you're in implementation mode 3 months after you go live. And here's something that I've noticed in this industry, y'all. Every single payroll company says that they have great support. Every single one. But the difference is what actually happens at 4:45 on a Friday when your payroll didn't process correctly and you need someone on the phone now. That's the moment of truth. And that's what this slide is genuinely about. So here's what support actually looks like with Netchex. Number one, unlimited help. There's no ticket limits. No, hey, you've used that allocated support hours this month. If you need us, we're there. It's that simple. Help your way. How do you need it? Do you want to call us? Do you want to chat us? Maybe you submit a case or use the in-app work walkthrough, whatever works for you in that moment. And 90% of those calls, again, they're answered in under a minute. It's not a situation where it's like, oh, your call is very important to us, please hold. It's actually answered by a person, a certified expert. And this is one that I'm the most proud of. When you call, you're not talking to a help desk agent who's just reading a script. You're talking to someone who is FPC, HR, or benefits certified. Someone who knows your industry and can actually solve your problem on the first call. That's what drives that 90% first call resolution rate. And that's the experience. And honestly, that's why our people stay. Now, I'll pass it back over to Chris to close this out and open it up for questions. Drop anything you've got in the Q&A, guys. We've got some time.
So just one more thing I want to be upfront about. Netchex is not the right fit for every company. We're just not. Now, we do our best work with businesses that are managing real complexity, multiple locations, lean HR teams, payroll that can't afford to be wrong, people and companies who need both the platform and the people behind it to show up. Now, if that's you, the conversation that I'm about to describe, it's worth 30 minutes. If it's not you, I hope today was genuinely useful. I hope you learned something. Either way, we'd rather be honest with you than win the wrong client. So you've got a quick poll that's popping up here. We would love the opportunity to have a conversation with you. Let us know if you would like us to follow up. We'd be happy to do that.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris and Becky. This was so interesting and so great. I really appreciate y'all walking everybody through this. Like Chris said, there is a poll, so go ahead and fill that out if you want to learn more about NetChecks. We also had a couple questions come in. I think these are going to be fun ones to answer. So I know we walked through a little bit of the reporting and insights feature, but we got a question that says, can a report give you headcounts for prior dates? And so I wanted to see if you could maybe answer that and also talk through some of the other reporting capabilities that are available in NetChecks.
Yeah, love that question. And it's a question that we've gotten a lot. And it's exciting because I get to answer it differently today than I would have answered it 6 months ago. Today, I get to say yes. So the way to do that is actually in the Netchex report builder that has a point in time feature that allows you to actually say, hey, I would like to run this report as if today were June 25th, 2025, as if today were January 2nd, 2026. And that report can actually run and show you the data as of that date, or even pick a date range and will show you and highlight the fields that have changed and the dates when those fields changed. And point in time reporting is something that's pretty unique to Netchex in our space. It's something that we don't see from our competitors and something we're really excited to bring to life and to be able to offer.
Awesome. And we had another one come in, and you touched on some of these. I think some of these we can touch on a little bit. Does NetChecks offer performance evaluations, compensation modules, time and attendance, and recruiting? And I know we covered performance and recruiting, but we also have some cool compensation planning tools that I wanted to give you a chance to touch on.
Yeah, holds himself back from the mouse. But yes, we absolutely do have a great compensation planning tool. You'll have the opportunity to set up your budgets behind the scenes, link performance outcomes to recommended increases. Managers submit those increases. There's a calibration event where you guys can go through and review and approve, and then it automatically updates employees' profiles on the selected effective date. Great tools inside of compensation management. Yes, we've got a native time and attendance solution, works very well. Biometric clocks, web punch, geofencing, all the things. Um, Recruiting, I think we touched on recruiting, great recruiting module. We've brought AI into those workflows. The goal is, we really want to help reduce the time to hire, the time that it takes from I've got an open position to I have somebody filling and working that shift. We want to reduce that from days and weeks to sometimes as quick as hours in recruiting.
Awesome. And just to piggyback on that one, we got another one that is how does AI reporting actually work in practice? And how does AI actually work in practice in Netchex? Is it asking a question in plain language or is there still a learning curve? Do you have to put inputs in?
Yeah, great question. So the AI is actually built to be incredibly intuitive. It's very much like the AI that you're used to working. So if I'm an employee asking a question, I literally ask the question. Good example. I ask it how much PTO I have. In my demo company, I have a vacation plan and a sick plan. It just knows that's what I'm talking about. So it surfaces my vacation and sick balances. I don't have to know to tell it, oh, how much vacation do I have or sick time? In the reporting, it's doing an analysis of your data and serving up relevant anomalies to be able to look at and say, hey, here's what we noticed, here's the trends inside of that data. In recruiting, it's automatically looking at the scores that you have provided. It's asking the questions in an interview that you've asked it to ask. So we've really built it to be super, super intuitive. Now, the one guardrail that I will say is it's using your data and only your data. So, like on the employee side, it's only using what you feed it. It's not going to the web. It's not going out and finding open source data. It's using the data inside of Netchex, but super intuitive. And come back in the next couple of weeks. I've got a really exciting AI update that's going to be launching in the next couple of weeks that changes that answer. So stay tuned for more there. Just subscribe to the Netchex channel, and you'll get those announcements in a few weeks.
Awesome. And then last question that came in, I'll task this one to Becky. What does ongoing support actually look like once you're live? Do you get the same people who worked what you worked with during onboarding? What does that process kind of look like?
So that's a great question. On day one, you're going to be assigned to an account manager, which is really great and really helpful. And they're going to be there kind of through your entire journey from day one until forever and ever, amen. Now, the onboarding team specifically, their focus is to get you up and running. Once you're up and running, your account manager is going to stay with you. Okay. Now, when you need day-to-day support, of course, you are going to reach out to our support team. But what you always have in that back pocket is that account manager who has been there from day one, who knows your business, who knows what you've run into, and they know where to lead you to next.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks, Becky. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate you participating. Like Chris said, go back to netchex.com and check out our future events. We have another one coming up on benefits in July, and then we have a reoccurring series of webinars that you can join and interact with us. Again, really appreciate everyone for being here and hope everybody has a good rest of the day.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.